What's up everybody, Jared here with carbuzz.com, and today I am bringing you a review of the facelifted 2023 Nissan Altima. Nissan introduced this 6th generation Altima model back in the 2019 model year, and now it is time for a refresh. The refresh starts with a facelift here on the exterior, which we're going to talk about first. This specific model that I'm driving is the SR VC Turbo. So that is the highest trim level with the big, more powerful turbocharged engine. So up front, you're going to see a little bit of a facelift from the outgoing 2022 Altima. It looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit more aggressive, and most importantly, it has Nissan's new logo up front. You're gonna see we get this kind of orangey SR badge, and we've got lots of black chrome, which gives the SR VC Turbo a very aggressive look. We also have some new wheels on the facelifted Altima. There are new 17 and 19-inch options, including these that come standard on the SR VC Turbo. You can get them on the non-turbo Altimas as well for $1,100. I think they look fantastic. They have kind of this dark gray satiny finish, and they kind of look like a ninja throwing star. Just a really fantastic wheel option that adds a ton of curb appeal to the Altima, as does this new color. It's called Gray Sky Pearl. It is very difficult to describe without seeing in person. It looks like a grayish white, but it has kind of like a purplish bluish tint to it, and it really changes depending on the light that it's in, whether it's in low light or high light. Really unique color, and I've actually gotten some compliments on the color while driving around. There is another new color called Garnet Pearl Metallic, but it is strangely not available on the VC Turbo SR that I am driving right here. Here at the back, we see some other subtle changes here for the 2023 refresh. We've got this cool kind of grayed out Altima badge that matches our wheels. We have the new Nissan logo over here. We've got SR, again, just like we do on the grille, and we've got a tiny lip spoiler that comes standard on the SR VC Turbo. Overall, I thought the Altima was a pretty handsome sedan before, but these 2023 facelift changes have made it even better looking. And just below that SR badge, you get a little VC Turbo badge letting people know that you bought the more powerful Altima. In terms of trunk space, the Altima offers 15.4 cubic feet, which is just a little bit bigger than the Toyota Camry. We've got some nice features back here, including these cargo hooks that kind of spring load down from the trunk. I think those are very useful if you're bringing in groceries, and it's really easy to fold the rear seats. You just pull these tabs, and then the rear seats drop down, giving you greater access to the trunk for long items. Now, in terms of rear space, the Altima is on the smaller end of the mid-size segment. We've got about 35.2 inches of legroom back here, which you can see my knees are not quite touching, but I am very short. I'm about 5'9" on a good day. That being said, the seats back here are very comfortable because they are Nissan's zero gravity, that NASA inspired technology. The front seats have it as well, but the back seats are just super soft and super comfortable. And here on this SR Turbo trim, we do have air vents, a USB-C, and a USB port. We have keyless access on this high trim Altima, and as we check out the interior, you'll see that the SR VC Turbo has pretty much the nicest cabin that you can get on an Altima. Like I mentioned, on the back seats, we have Nissan's NASA-inspired zero-gravity technology, meaning that you really just sink into these seats. They have like a leatherette finish, and on the SRVC Turbo, we've got kind of an orange and white two-tone stitching combination with some kind of orange dot accents here in the middle. These seats are heated, but unlike some vehicles in the segment, they are not ventilated. You cannot get heated and ventilated seats on any Altima trim. Now let's go ahead and step on in, and we'll close the door, and we'll see the cabin, which is updated for the 2023 model year. Nissan puts their stop-start button down here by the shifter. And now let's talk about the big new important feature here on the 2023 Altima, which is this new 12.3-inch display. Now, this is the same size display that you get on the massive Nissan Armada, but it is not the same infotainment system. This actually has a lot more in common with Nissan Ariya, the all-electric model. This is a brand new Nissan infotainment system. It is so much nicer than the 8-inch system that this replaces, not only because it's HD, like just look at those graphics. They look super futuristic, super modern. It has Amazon Alexa, it has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. It's wider, it's nicer, the functionality is better, and I really like it. The user layout is so much better. You can talk to it via voice command. Overall, this is a massive improvement, and if you have a 2022 or older Nissan Altima, this is a really good reason why you might want to upgrade to the 2023 model year. Now, this is tied to a Bose audio system with 9 speakers. Bose is not my favorite, but it sounds just fine. The rest of the Altima is pretty much the same. We've got kind of this cool flat bottom steering wheel. We've got very clear, very easy to read tachometer and speedometer gauges. You can see in the middle we have our variable compression turbo gauge telling us how many PSI we are producing. And you know, this center screen can do a couple of other things. It can show your audio, fuel economy, what have you. On the SR-VC turbo trim, we've got Nissan's Pro Pilot Assist technology. It's standard on the SL and the SR-VC turbo, optional on the SV. It is one of the better driving assist softwares that you can get on an affordable car like this. It handles adaptive cruise control, steering assist, all of that jazz. We've got a really nice 360-degree camera system. I like that it's there. It is a little bit old in this day and age that we have these stitch lines here. I have seen better execution of that, but it is a really nice feature. You can angle it so that you can see the wheels as well. The rest of the interior, not the most expensive. You have this kind of fake carbon fiber here. We've got a little bit of hard touch surfaces here. The door cards are at least a soft touch material. We have dual zone automatic climate control, heated seats, no ventilated seats. As I mentioned, a heated steering wheel, a wireless charging pad down here. We've got our cup holders. We've got our typical PRND and L shifter. We have a little button on that shifter that's going to activate sort of kind of a sport mode that we'll talk about a little bit later. And we have a basic sunroof. All right, so let's get the 2023 Altima out on the road, where although Nissan has made a lot of big changes to this model for 2023, the engines are not an area where Nissan has made any changes. They're basically carryover. So the standard Altima comes with a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine with 188 horsepower and 180 pound-feet of torque. Pretty on par with what you're going to get from other mainstream mid-size sedans. It's not the worst, it's not the best either. The power and torque goes down a little bit if you get the Altima with all-wheel drive, which is something that Nissan introduced on this current generation Altima, down to 182 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. So just a small drop right there. And I love that Nissan offers the Altima with all-wheel drive because it allows them to sell in cold weather climates where it might snow. And I wish that Nissan and Toyota and some other automakers would have done this sooner, offering all-wheel drive on their sedan models, because I think that's a big reason why people turn to crossovers. There's other reasons as well, such as ride height and the trunk and all of that good stuff, but I think that all-wheel drive is a real reason why people gravitated so much towards those mid-size crossovers and compact crossovers rather than sedans. And if Nissan would have made this change a little earlier, maybe they could have slowed down the proliferation of crossovers just a little bit. Now, the Altima's fuel economy is pretty good. It's not like class leading, and Nissan still does not offer a hybrid Altima in this generation. You're gonna get up to 28 miles per gallon in the city, 39 on the highway, and 32 combined. That is the best that you're gonna get from an Altima, but that is the front-wheel drive S model. If you get any of the higher trims, those numbers are gonna drop a little bit to 27 in the city, 37 on the highway, and 31 combined. Again, if you opt for all-wheel drive, as you might expect, that's gonna hurt your fuel economy as well. The SV and SL models are gonna get 26 in the city, 36 on the highway, and 30 combined, which is not terrible for all-wheel drive. And then if you get the all-wheel drive SR, the sporty version like we have here, 25 in the city, 35 on the highway, and 29 combined. But that is for the normally aspirated all-wheel drive SR. The model that we have is the VC Turbo. So there is only one way to get this engine. It is on the SR trim, and then you have to specifically opt for the VC turbo model. So that replaces the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder with a smaller 2 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is the same engine that you get in the Infiniti QX50 and Infiniti QX55, and it even produces pretty similar power. 248 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. So this is the performance option in the Altima. It replaces the old V6 because you can no longer get a V6 engine in the Altima. And I should note that those power and torque figures are if you feed this car premium gas. I think if you put it on regular, you won't do quite as well on the power or the torque. And if you get the VC Turbo, you can't get all-wheel drive. Kind of weird that Nissan didn't make them both available, because I feel like somebody spending all of this money on the VC Turbo might also want all-wheel drive, so it's a little bit weird that you kind of can't do both. No matter which engine you choose, you're going to get a CVT, a continuously variable transmission, not a geared automatic transmission. So some people might really like that. Other people, if you believe the internet, are going to say, oh, it's unreliable. Nissan CVTs are terrible. They've been a lot better in recent years. So let's see how this VC Turbo accelerates. I'm going to go ahead and push. There is like a hidden sport mode. It doesn't really do all that much, but I'm going to hit it and we'll see how it accelerates. Ready? So it does do that thing where it kind of just pegs 6,000 RPM and it just kind of stays there, and it doesn't feel like it's trying to do any fake shifts, at least when you just mash the throttle off the line. Now, if you just accelerate kind of normally, not full throttle, it will kind of do fake gear shifts, and they're kind of convincing, but if you've driven a regular automatic, they're really not. Honestly, I don't love driving this car sporty. It's not a sporty car, despite the SR stuff that might make you believe that it's kind of sporty. What I really enjoy doing is just leaving a stoplight just gently. It revs to like 2,000 RPM and it just kind of stays there. And I gotta say, the acceleration, so smooth. It is one of the most smooth linear drivetrains you're ever going to experience, especially at this price point. You don't feel shifts, you don't feel any clunkiness in the transmission, and the engine has so much torque that it barely needs to rev to get you off the line. I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm not going to mash the throttle like a hooligan. I'm going to drive this the way that somebody with an Altima would probably drive it. Light goes green, I'm going to hit the throttle, the gas builds up, the RPMs build up just a little bit, and then they dip right down to below 2,000 RPM. They never cross 2,000 RPM, and now I'm at my cruising speed. That was so smooth. If I had a glass of water right here that was just at the brim, ready to fall, like, you know, for the water to fall out, it would have stayed completely level. That's how smooth this CVT is. So I know some enthusiasts out there are going to be really mad that this has a CVT, but I think that a lot of people are actually going to like that feature. And I'm going to wrap up by talking to you a little bit more about this engine. It's called a VC Turbo. If you watch any of my Infiniti videos, you'll see what that basically means. It's called variable compression. So basically this engine can change its compression ratios, so it can go 8:1 for high performance, or it can go 14:1 for high efficiency. Usually an engine can only go one or the other for performance or for efficiency. This can kind of switch back and forth. So the fuel economy is actually really good. It's actually not even that far off of the all-wheel drive, normally aspirated SR. 25 mpg in the city, 34 on the highway, and 29 combined. That is a little bit better than what you're going to get from like a V6 Camry, which is a little bit more powerful than this, but not as torquey. So that is something to consider. And then in terms of how the Altima drives, as I mentioned, it's not really sporty at all. You've got the one kind of sport mode. You can view your turbo boost compression here on the gauge, but like, who are you fooling? This is not a super sporty experience with a CVT. The ride is gorgeous. It is a really, really nice ride. It does have independent front and rear suspension, which is quite sophisticated for a car of this price point. And you get some special tuning for the SR. I'm not 100% sure what they mean by that, if the SR is particularly sporty, because when I toss it in, the tires just have no grip whatsoever, and it definitely leans around in the corner. So despite the SR having kind of a sporty appearance, The Altima is just a nice, comfortable cruiser, and I really wouldn't mind having it with the base engine, but this VC turbo powertrain with the CVT, the way that it's calibrated in this car, I actually like it a lot. But before we wrap up on pricing, unfortunately, there is one reason I probably could not recommend this Altima. Are you ready? Wait for it, and do you hear it? I hope it comes off in the video because that is the loudest, the most obnoxious, most annoying turn signal I've ever heard in a car. Tick, 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 tick. Shut up! Horrible! Oh my, it's horrible. I literally just want to make turns without signaling and break the law in this car. It's that annoying, and honestly, I think it would stop me from buying an Altima. Nissan, fix that, please. All right, so that was the 2023 Nissan Altima. Pricing for the base S model starts at just over $25,000, which is about $1,000 cheaper than the cheapest Toyota Camry. So Nissan still has Toyota beat on value there. If you want to step up to the SV trim, that's at just over $26,000. And starting with the SV, you can add all-wheel drive for $1,500. So just add $1,500 to any of the prices that I tell you from here on out to get the price of your model if you were thinking about getting all-wheel drive. The SR trim is about $27,500. That is for the non-turbocharged SR, while the SL is just under $32,000. If you want this SR VC Turbo model, which is the highest version of the Altima that you can get, and you can only get that with front wheel drive, remember, it's just under $35,000. Add this new color, some floor mats, and your destination charge, and you're looking at about $37,000. There are more expensive mid-size sedan options in this segment, but the Altima is a pretty decent value. I do like the drivetrain, and I think that the changes visually and technology-wise for 2023 are really nice. I don't think it's my favorite in this segment, but I definitely wouldn't advise against buying it if you're cross-shopping in this segment. I really hope you've enjoyed this review of the 2023 Nissan Altima. For more videos like it, as always, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. And if you want to read more about the 2023 Nissan Altima, be sure to check out carbuzz.com. I'll see you next time.